What's going on? It's like uh there's a difference between it's almost like there's a fine line, okay? Between self-love or loving yourself versus being in love with yourself. Like even though it sounds like I'm saying the same thing, but if you really like stop, pause, zoom in, zoom out, you know what I'm saying? Like turn your head to the left and the right. You really look at it, you'll see that it's totally different. Like if you love yourself, for instance, you'll say to no to something that you know is wrong for the real you, for your core, for your soul. But when you're in love with yourself, you'll compromise with yourself for the sake of appearing to be something that you're not to others, so you can continue to be in love with yourself. It's kind of like a compensation type of a thing where it's like everything external should be judged by us, each of us, by our unique experience, okay? Instead of looking outwards to be validated in advance to go ahead and adopt that role or that identity, that basically you're letting others dictate the pace and define for you what you are, when in all actuality it's something that you need to discover for your freaking self. So it's not, but then again, if you are solely like, if you judge everything solely off your only own particular understanding and you ignore the fact that other people see other stuff that you don't see and that maybe their take is valid, that's kind of narcissism as well. But at the same time, to not be able to think for yourself and use your own critical thinking is it's whatever anyone else is. If you're listening to narcissists, you're going to be a narcissist. If you're listening to energy vamps, you're going to energy vamps. If you're listening to pessimists, you're going to think pessimistically. If you listen to angry opinions, so you see where I'm going with this here. So hold on real quick. Anyway, internal, external, freaking it's a fine line between being self-love and being in love with yourself. It's, for instance, like, look, if you're in love with yourself too much, you won't be able to take criticism. And not all criticism is bad. Some of it's good. Like, I got a fortune cookie. It said, the best mirror is a good friend. Because it's like, look, when you look at the mirror, if your eyes are blind, you can't see what the reflection anyway. Or if your mirror's all cloudy. Sometimes a friend who's really your friend, a friend isn't a yes man or a flying monkey. It's someone who actually only validates the righteousness about your situation, but also gives you admonishment about maybe some of the things you weren't seeing, okay? The same time. So it's like me, I'm not fixated with the mirror, but I'm not afraid to look in the mirror when I need to shave my head, when I need to pick some zits, when I need to shave my face, trim my hair, make sure I ain't got no boogies, make sure I ain't got no wounds or anything for whatever reason. You know what I mean? But at the same time, every time, like while I'm talking to somebody and I see my own reflection, I'm not going to start talking to my own reflection while I'm talking to another person, because I'm just in love with myself. And because being in love with yourself really isn't love. It's the twisted form of love. Like the love of money is the root of all evil. It's true love is love others as thyself. So it's a thing where it's like you got to have some self-love, but at the same time, what distinguishes that your ability to bestow the same graciousness upon others. Okay. Also, when it's time to whip some A, crack a can of whip A, you can do that, but you don't cross the line and become a straight tyrant, fascist, like totalitarianist. You know what I mean? Freaking straight up superior or inferiority complex typages. So, you notice though, it's like that's kind of there's of what's odd is the term narcissist is about a person who falls in love with their own reflection, but real narcissists never self-reflect. You don't need a mirror to self-reflect. It's kind of like in the Bible it says, examine yourself and see if ye be in the faith or not. Or it says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You know what I'm saying? And no man who plans to do a great feat does not count the cost in advance. In other words, it's like processing stuff, dude. Like, look, holding yourself accountable to what strength ye are able. You know what I'm saying? And like, for instance, like I was saying, having a good friend, they can see through the clouds, so to speak, man, and because they're at a different perspective than you. They can see you when you can't see you. And it's like you can't look at your own reflection and gaze upon your friend, which is because look, our moods are contagious. Our if one person smiles, starts giggling, it gives the other person a tendency to want to giggle too, for instance. So it's like, look, there's a lot of truth to that. And I mean, just there's a lot of there's simple aspects to it and there's complex aspects to it. It's the forest and the trees, buddy, and the trees and the forest, and both all at the same time. But so it's like when you're in love with yourself, you don't hear anybody, and basically you're like a plagiarist, and you're taking the bits and pieces of everyone's like goodness that you can, and you're like spinning and sewing yourself this little like magical cloaking device, this chameleon device. But at the same time, you disregarded all the people that were telling you it, but then at the same time you rejected them and swindle the advice. Even though it was a gift, you rejected it to take it and then misuse it actually. So, and that's kind of like this. You want to control the image in the reflection, but you got to know it's just like water, okay? Once there's ripples in the water, there's nothing you can do to hasten the stillness to come back to where it becomes clear and it becomes still where you can see the reflection. It just happens. You just got to sit and let it be. It's out of your control. And that's the thing about narcs. They are obsessed with control, whether they got to put on some makeup, whether they got to bend the mirror to make themselves look taller or skinnier or whatnot. They'll play these little games, these little tricks, just to shave a little corner off that square. They're trying to shave it down as much as they can, where you could still say it was a square, but it's almost a circle at this point. It's not a square. And about by the point that you say, man, that's a circle. Now they start working the edges of the circle to try to whack it back down into a square. And after a while, it starts looking like a fucking diamond. So it's like, before you know it, them trying to compensate and overcompensate and whittle it down. And look, eventually they just totally, the house of cards totally, you know what I'm saying, collapses on itself. And using self-reflection, using the mirror, but not obsessing with the mirror, knowing that you don't need the mirror, that your friends, your interactions with people are, and when someone is harsh to you, sometimes that is not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of them. It's like the narc that's blaming the victim. Man, if you weren't such a weakling, chump victim, narcs wouldn't just suck your neck. And that's not really true. It's like, no, narcs want the most vital person that they can swindle with the pyramid schemes scam. You know what I'm saying? So no, it's not true. They actually they don't like weak chumps. You know what I'm saying? It's like they actually, you know what I'm saying? It's not what you would think. It's like, no, the best source of supply they can get is what they're gonna go for. So it's they're not. I mean, it kind of sucks, but they are looking for the chumps and the victims of the best of people with the most potential, or the, you know what I'm saying? Actually, so if you've been hustled by these vamps, you know what I'm saying, or they work their magic on you for some time, it's not a death sentence. It's actually like, if you're at the point where you're aware of it and you're mad and you're fucking studying on it, you're actually really lucky, because a lot of people might not catch on to this information and they get okey doked into a wedlock to, like, look, you'll have this relationship with this person who's, it's their reflection in the mirror while they're doing their makeup the whole way. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, it's like, you ain't got no choice, man. We gotta learn to be comfortable with who we are, what we are, and if we're not who we're meant to be, well, we need to get on that trail of figuring it out. But the narcs are literally witchcraft workers, dude, and they freaking bend reality. They obscure the mirror. They also distract you when you're, look. They try. It's like Bruce Lee on the Enter the Dragon at the end. They got all these mirrors set up, and they're running around in all these secret rooms. And this is literally, they start playing with your head. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll be telegraphing stuff that they'll be leaving you breadcrumbs to catch them up, and they know it's messing with your head. And they're creating all these phantoms, and they're literally using like shadow magic. You know how they do shadow puppets with their fingers on the wall? And they're getting you to focus on the shadow on the wall, but not the hand that's making the fingers, nor the light projecting the source of the phantom. You know what I'm saying? It's interesting. Like the cunning and the, like, look, ingenuity of these con men and the narcs and these people who are in love with themselves. It's like in the Bible it says, love not your lives unto death. And in a way, that doesn't mean that you hate yourself, and it doesn't mean that you hate everyone and everything. It just means, like, look, there's aspects of this life that you got to know are a sick joke, and that it's coerced on you. And there's even parts of this life they may reward you for doing wrong, and you got to know it, that that's a temptation everyone faces, to become a sleazy person who just profits from corruption and looks the other way. And I mean, there's major operations like that and minor ones. And it's also, you know, look, the lust of the eye and the pride of life. The lust of the eye, that's the reflection right there. What are you putting your eye on? Are you covetous towards yourself? You know what I'm saying? To where you want to put all the attention on yourself, attention, center of attention, okay? Freaking. And that's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for you, and your toxic behaviors your self-orientated toxic behaviors will also, rub off on other people. Either you'll corrupt them and turn them into vamps, or you'll vampirize other people by just being a thorn in their side. And you'll really be your own worst enemy, but you'll be thinking it's a good thing. Anyway, I'm gonna keep this one choked so it uploads like quick. Alright, buddy. Peace.